Do you find the Ryan Reynolds, Rob Mack, Tom Brady angle to the Wrexham Birmingham rivalry fascinating? I don't, personally, but I respect you if you do. What I find fascinating about Wrexham against Birmingham is that this is going to be a really interesting football match, and you know the atmosphere will be absolutely unbelievable, and there is a lot riding on it. We're 8 games in to the Championship season, and the level at which you set your own expectation for Wrexham and Birmingham probably dictates how you feel about their current position in the league table after 8 games. Birmingham 11th with 3 wins, 2 draws and 3 defeats on 11 points. Wrexham in 15th with 2 wins, 3 draws and 3 defeats on 9 points. Realistically, very little between the two teams to start this season, but if you look at the trajectory of the season so far, Birmingham started very quickly and have had a disappointing month or so in the league, and Wrexham started disappointingly and have come on strong over the last few games and made some key improvements, particularly defensively. It seems fairly clear that Wrexham are better in attack at the moment than Birmingham City. 13 goals scored to Birmingham's just 7 so far this season. But defensively, it's also very clear that Birmingham are much better at restricting opposition teams to few chances. They've only conceded 10 goals to Wrexham's 14. And we've started to see a bit of unrest within the Birmingham City fan base in midweek when they drew 2-2 with Sheffield Wednesday thanks to a 99th minute equaliser. There were boos when Chris Davies made certain substitutions. There were cheers when Aaron Cashin got subbed off after a poor performance and a few notable mistakes. And I think there's a slight confusion about what these clubs should have expected to start this season. I think both teams and fan bases didn't do a great job setting their expectations at the right level. And I think they came up understandably confident within themselves. Why would you not be? After a record points tally for Birmingham last season and an unbelievable amount of ambition coming from the top of the club. And in Wrexham's case, 3 straight promotions. Why would you think anything other than we should go well again? That's what we are. That's what we do. I do think there was perhaps a lack of understanding about the level as a whole, and maybe a slight lack of respect about how good the other teams in the Championship are and how hard they all fight just to be a mid-table team and how difficult it is to become a top 6 contender. I actually think at this stage that Birmingham and Wrexham's starts have been fine in the main, and I'm not particularly worried or negative about either side 8 games in, but it feels like particularly Blues fans are feeling a little let down and a little bit underwhelmed about things, and I find that very interesting. Clearly away from home, Birmingham have been struggling. They've lost the last 3 away games to 0 in the Championship, whereas Wrexham are yet to win at home. So clearly with Birmingham travelling to Wrexham, that's a really interesting scenario here. The one away game that Birmingham did win, they were losing heading into injury time before a late turnaround. So they are not performing very well in away games in the Championship this season, and Wrexham are not performing as well at home as they have done over the last few years. When it comes to Birmingham, I think what I've noticed is that the players that fans thought would be incredible individuals for this level haven't been so far. That's not to say that Birmingham's squad is poor, by no means is it, but do they have any players that are anywhere near the best in the league in their position? Other than Christoph Clara, I'd say probably not. One positive for Birmingham in midweek, which could have a big impact on this game, was how sharp Jay Stansfield looked, scoring his goal and going close on a few other occasions. If Stansfield's confidence is back, he is an absolute menace. But Wrexham would point to the fact that at the top end of the pitch, they're looking pretty healthy as well. Kiefer Moore has been brilliant to start his life as a Wrexham player, as has Nathan Broadhead in his last few appearances, finding the net with some brilliant finishes. And Windass, despite an injury early on this season, again, when he's been on the pitch, particularly dovetailing with Moore, has looked very, very dangerous indeed. And supporting them from midfield, Lewis O'Brien has genuinely been one of the standout midfielders in the Championship so far this season. And the midfield battle will be pretty fascinating because to my eyes it's clear Birmingham have the better defence and Wrexham currently have the better attack. The midfield battle very much up for grabs. O'Brien has been brilliant, but Paik, Iwata, Doyle, these are all quality midfield players. They might be lacking a tiny bit in terms of physicality, and that might be where Wrexham can impose themselves and win the midfield battle, but that is certainly going to be an important aspect in this game. From a tactical point of view, I think this is actually a bit of an awkward one for Phil Parkinson, because Birmingham are going to have the majority of possession, and that in itself is not a problem whatsoever for Wrexham. But you do have to decide at what point you engage with Birmingham in possession. And I think when you're playing at home in front of a rabid fan base, there is an expectation that you will get after it, shall we say, that you will fly into challenges higher up the pitch than you maybe otherwise would if you were playing, for example, away from home. And I think against this Birmingham side, the absolute best approach would be to deny them any space near your box, any space in your defensive half. Let them carry the ball into your half before you engage, and then benefit from having space to play into on the counter-attack, but give up absolutely no space in between the lines or in the pockets in the half spaces. That's what's crucial against Birmingham. Do not allow them to play through you, and therefore don't come onto them too high up the pitch. However, I'm not sure if the Wrexham home fans will be happy with that approach, and I think there could be some pressure for them to try and be aggressive and front foot and disrupt Birmingham's build-up play. I'm not sure that will be the best approach. It will be a fascinating bit of cat and mouse. If they come up against a good Wrexham low block, I think Wrexham have a really good chance of stifling them and winning this game. They will have spells where they dominate, where they get balls into the box, long throws, set pieces. We know they can put pressure on Birmingham in that way, but I think they will have to be patient if they are to win this game. And in order to be patient, they have to accept defending for long periods and just making sure that their shape is absolutely watertight. That, for me, is the best approach for Wrexham, and the approach that I think has to be the way that they win this game. Overall, I think it's going to be a really fascinating game. Two very well matched teams in many ways, whose strengths and weaknesses dovetail quite nicely. I think, therefore, it's hard to be confident with picking either team to win this game, win it in any way comfortably. I think a 1-1 draw is the most likely result, and that's my prediction. We want to hear yours. What's your tactical analysis of Wrexham against Birmingham? How do you think this game will look? But mainly, what's your gut saying about the final score? Who's going to win at the Racecourse this weekend? Let us know in the comments below. Subscribe to the DragonSports channel for all the best Welsh sports news and coverage with no ads whatsoever.